Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Covenant Army podcast, where our mission is to equip couples to align with God and win the daily battle raging against marriage and family. I am Brent, and I'm here with my super beautiful, wonderful wife, Miss Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
Why do you look at me that way when I say that?
Because you make me blush.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Which part? Super? Wonderful?
The whole thing.
Beautiful?
The whole thing.
Awesome? I'm just going to keep flowing them out until,
Now you're doing the eyebrow thing.
The eyebrow thing? What's that? The rock? Nice. So, guys, we're super excited to have you with us, joining us here today. We're sitting on the couch, kind of leaning back a little bit, feeling pretty comfortable, I feel.
Yes, very comfortable.
Right. You're not going to fall asleep on me, are you?
No, I'm not going to fall asleep.
Just because we're not watching our show.
What show?
Whatever show we're watching when you fall asleep on me.
No.
Hopefully this is more exciting that keeps you awake.
Yes, of course.
All right, awesome. So, today, guys, we want to talk about friendship. Friendship outside of the marriage relationship. Mm-hmm. So not our friendship as husband and wife, but friends that are outside of our marriage.
Yeah, so maybe like women, if you have, your girlfriends, or maybe friends of the opposite sex. and that's probably where we're going to land more today, is these friends of the opposite sex that sometimes cause some chaos in marriages.
Well, let's talk. Well, I think both. I think both relationships can cause issues because they can happen with the same sex. Well, guys can get together and they can take guys off the path.
Yeah, do really stupid things. You mean?
Well, do stupid things and just getting you to testing your morals and values at times.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it happens. I don't know if it's something that's just woven into guys' DNA.
To push the boundary? To
push boundaries. Risk takers. Come to think of it, I think that's probably what happens a lot of times in these relationships with men. We kind of say, is that really that bad? Let's see what happens. You're going to see it's not as bad as you think it is. Or it's not as big as deal you think it is. Or how about that time, you're hanging out with your boys and you told your wife you're going to be home for dinner and it's like, hey, come on, man, give me 15 more minutes, man. Let's just play one more game. And then that 15 minutes turns into 30 minutes, turns into an hour, and your wife is blowing up your phone. You're still out on the court, and by the time you get home, you're already a dog in the doghouse.
I remember back in the day when you were still in the military, one of those weeks that you were gone away with the guys on your annual training.
Yeah.
And this was when we were dating, I think. I don't even think we were married yet. And you said you would call me.
Yeah.
And I waited for your call that day. And you didn't.
Yeah. And
then I tried to call you, and you didn't answer the phone. And I remember being so upset.
So you were saying that...
But you were out with the friends.
You weren't too fond of my friends at that time?
No. Absolutely not. But it was the whole friend thing.
Did you think they were a good influence on me?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And that's kind of what we're talking about as far as these friends.
Yeah.
As far as marriage pertains, there could be friends in your circle that could be causing chaos in your marriage.
Some friction.
Some friction, some resentment, some bitterness.
Especially if they're friends that don't share the same morals and values and convictions, right?
Yes, and I can see that.
That don't lean in and say, hey, you really need to talk to your wife.
You really need to do the right thing?
Yeah, you really need to go home and talk to your wife. You really need to talk to your husband.
Well, we've been married for more than a day now. And I can honestly say that God has naturally pruned some of those friendships. And some of the friendships have evolved as our faith walk has grown.
Right.
So today, I can honestly say that, and this is just mine and your example, we don't have opposite sex friends in our relationship.
No.
I don't have women that are, my friend alone. And you don't have men that are your friend alone.
No. All our friends are mutual. Mutual friends that we both are in agreement about.
Both in agreement. Yep.
That we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And, I feel being together 17 years, it's worked out pretty well that way.
I think God has done a great job.
He has.
Retraining our mind in that. Because listen, we didn't used to always think this way.
Well, no, I remember having a lot of friction when you were, with your military buddies, because they would always pull you. They wanted to pull you off the path, and you thought, hey, this is cool. You should be cool with it.
Well, many times because I didn't understand why it bothered you the way it did. Because my intentions were never evil. I wasn't out there trying to do evil intentions, but with people having such a big influence, I would find myself, again, going against my own morals and values. You know what I mean? As far as...
Well, and that's what I knew, because you were...
a different person.
You were different back then, and you want to make everybody happy.
What I was saying was, when we were together, I was a certain way, and when I got around my friends, I was another way.
Yes.
And they weren't matching. I wasn't the same person in both locations.
And that's what I was seeing.
Which caused you to feel a certain kind of way.
Yes.
With the people that were hanging out. Well, it's the same thing on your side. Because I don't want to... Listen, this is not to knock guys. This goes on the female side as well.
It does.
And we were talking about this before we actually a couple days ago or yesterday, I don't remember. But even on the female side, there could be female influence that would, try to get you to stretch your morals and values. Mm-hmm. Just because most people don't. Well, some people do know they're not doing the right thing. But most people, just because they think different than you, they're thinking, well, why wouldn't you want to do this?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not like you're out there cheating on your spouse or anything like that. We're just, doing X, Y, and Z. But as the male on this side, as the husband on this side, there were some times I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. It was early on. Mm-hmm. Early on in our relationship. But today, we're really going to focus in on those friends of the opposite sex that you have outside your marriage that maybe your spouse isn't 100% on board with, mm-hmm. or there's something about that friend that your spouse is kind of just like, I don't know if I feel too comfortable.
Mm. Well, and I think that's where we need to start. Mm-hmm. Like if your spouse has concerns about either a friend of the same sex or the opposite sex, you need to listen to those concerns. Mm-hmm. Like you need to be serious about it and ask the question, what is it specifically about this other person? Or share with me what it is that is your concern. Mm-hmm. So you can get an understanding where your spouse is coming from. Because this is the thing that I've come to notice, or we've come to notice. Your spouse is going to see things that you don't see.
Right.
You have blind spots.
Well, your spouse is going to see outside of that emotional bond that you have with that person. Mm-hmm. Your spouse is going to see outside of that.
Well, yeah, because we know that emotions blind you.
Right.
You can be blinded by emotions, and that's what I mean by the blind spots. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what marriage is. Like, we got each other's back. If you're seeing a threat that I don't see, I want you to share that with me.
Right.
It's not going to do me well for me to say, hey, you shouldn't feel that way. You shouldn't be jealous. There's nothing here to be concerned about. Just keep it moving. Like, that's pretty ignorant if you think about it. Mm-hmm.
Well, we did that. We've been there. That's where we're talking about the whole, where with your military buddies up front. I'm
starting to feel like you don't have good memories about that time.
There was good memories, and then there was those memories that I'm like, what are you thinking? But
I wasn't. Yeah.
It's okay. I feel like we were supposed to go through that so we could understand more,
Well, I think we did. I think we went through all that just to grow and then also to share on this podcast.
To share with couples.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I want to talk to the spouse on the other side, the one that is in the position that you're feeling uncomfortable with the friendship that's happening with your spouse and a person of the opposite sex. Maybe your spouse has told you you're crazy, you're being insecure, you need to stop being jealous, there's nothing going on, this has been your friend forever. Listen, you're not being crazy. If you're feeling a certain type of way and you're uncomfortable because there are some factual things that you can see that are not right, you need to be able to address those with your spouse. Mm-hmm. So I just want to put that out there because we have had people reach out to us asking our advice about that.
Yeah, 100%. So to kind of safeguard this, because this is what happens, guys, in these friendships of the opposite sex. This is one of those open door or open window that the enemy does a really good job of tripping us up and getting inside and starting to wreak havoc on our marriage and on our families, right? And these are some things that you need to watch out for to safeguard yourself and your marriage and even the friendships at time. Because like if this is an honest to goodness relationship, I know you don't want to say that, friendship, you want to keep it within the bounds. Like you want to have clear expectations on what this relationship is going to be, it isn't going to be. Mm-hmm. And you and your spouse have to be in agreement about that and share it with each other. So again, number one, to hold yourself accountable. Number two, so you can know what right or wrong is, and you can stay far away from this trap is what it's going to be. Because the enemy, he's crafty. And I'm telling you, most of these things we're going to share with you guys, nobody woke up out of the bed and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do today.
Right.
They weren't intending to do this. But if you're not careful, you will fall to this. I'm telling you, because I've seen it time and time again. So, the list, we found it on goodtherapy.org, and we're not promoting them. That's just where we found the list. We thought it was a great list, and we want to share it with you guys. The list is called 15 Signs Your Friendship Has Crossed the Line. 15 signs that your friendship has crossed the line. And again, this is opposite sex friendships.
Correct.
Okay. Baby share number 1.
Number 1 says, when talking to your friend, you feel more comfortable confiding in them than you do your spouse.
Big problem. Yeah. Your spouse should be number 1. Like, if you're going to be sharing and confiding in someone outside of God, your spouse should be number 1.
They should be the one that you feel most comfortable with sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
100%.
So begs the question, why would you not feel comfortable confiding and sharing these things more with your spouse? So that means there's no safety there with your spouse.
Well, something's probably happened that has begun to close the conversation or the communication in the relationship. You know, where you start to feel like it's not really safe or comfortable to share with my spouse. Mm-hmm. And again, that's a red flag. You should always be able to share with your spouse.
Right.
And if you're not and you're looking to go somewhere else, big red flag.
Yep.
Okay, number 2 says, when talking to your friend, you share negative thoughts or feelings that you have toward your spouse.
No. No. You know, and I always cringe. Like if I'm sitting with someone and they just want to talk bad about their husband or their wife. It's like in my mind, I'm like, no, why are you doing this right now? You should really be sharing these feelings with your spouse.
Well, and that's another thing to say, because you could be the friend on the other side of what we're sharing here. Mm-hmm. If someone comes to you and they're sharing negative thoughts or feelings about their spouse, what's the right thing to do? Do you lean into those negative thoughts and feelings and perpetuate that negative thoughts and negative feelings? Because when you affirm that stuff, it's going to get worse for that person.
Right.
They're not thinking better about their spouse. They're going to start thinking worse about their spouse.
Right.
So if you're really a friend, you want to help them.
Well, you want to speak the truth in love.
Well, speak the truth in love and then help them get out of that negative headspace. Mm-hmm. Help point out to them what are some good things about their spouse.
Right.
And if you're a friend, you should know some of those good things. Like, say, if my friend, a buddy, comes to me and says, hey, you know, your wife done this or done that. Okay. Hey, but do you remember that time when she did this for you? That was pretty cool. Or do you remember this? That's pretty awesome that she does that. And again, that starts to take them off that negative path to start thinking positive about their spouse.
Yes. Well, no, because you said a friend of yours, you'd be whatever, you were in the friend position and your friend would come to you talking about your wife.
Yeah.
You meant his wife.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
So number 3 says,
when talking to your friend, do you share intimate details about your life more so than you do with your spouse? Y'all should not be doing this. This is not good. Not good.
Well, you should never be sharing intimate details with anyone other than your spouse.
Right. And again, you have to ask yourself why you would do that. Like, why are you sharing intimate details about your life with somebody else? So you have to ask yourself, why don't I feel safe enough
or comfortable?
Yeah, to be having these more intimate conversations just with my spouse.
You know, it's funny. And I'm always going to be probably speaking from a male perspective. Is that you have some guys that say, you know, I'm not emotional. I'm not emotional. I don't share my emotions. I'm fact. Okay, cool. But they get themselves in these positions and with these people of the opposite sex, and then they become emotional. They start sharing emotional, intimate details with these other people, and you're like, was it really the fact that you weren't emotional? For some reason, you just stopped sharing it with your spouse.
Yeah, that's true.
So think about it, dudes. Like, if that's you, and you kind of under that banner of I'm not emotional, but then you find yourself having emotional conversations with another female, big red flag. You need to stop it.
So number 4 and number 5 are kind of almost seem very alike.
Okay.
So I'm just going to share them both real quick. You do not share the extent of your friendship with your spouse, and your spouse does not know about your relationship with your friend. Mm-hmm. So in essence, you're hiding stuff
relationship
from your spouse. And if you have to hide things, or you feel like you have to hide things from your spouse, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something is wrong.
For sure. So number 6 says that you would feel uncomfortable if your spouse were to listen in on conversations that you have with your friend.
Ooh.
Here's the thing.
Ooh.
If you wouldn't be having that conversation with your spouse sitting right beside you, you shouldn't be having that conversation.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, black and white. Like, that's the facts. If you wouldn't have this conversation in front of your spouse, don't have it with this other person. Don't have it with this friend. Bottom line. Number 7 says,
you find yourself thinking about your friend more than you know you should be.
So at that point, this friend has probably taken up a lot of real estate in your mind.
Yes.
And you've only got so much real estate. So why would you be spending it on this other person instead of your spouse?
I mean, if this is happening with you, you might want to talk to your husband to find out where your relationship in your marriage is lacking, that your mind is leaning into someone else.
Yeah, for sure.
Or, you need to go to counseling.
Yeah, that's true. Number 8 says, you look forward to being with your friend more so than with your spouse. You look forward to being with your friend more so than you do with your spouse.
And that kind of ties into that last one. You're thinking more about this person more than you should be, and then now you're looking forward to being with this person.
You're making plans. And that's another big indicator. When you start adjusting your schedule to find out ways to interact with this other person, with this friend, like you're literally carving out time, making it a priority to be with this other person, again, you've crossed the line. Let's not forget what this list is saying. If these things are happening, you have crossed the line.
Yep.
If you are adjusting your schedule, adjusting your timeline, taking time away from your wife, taking time away from your family to be with this other person, you've crossed the line.
You have allowed the enemy to take some ground in your life.
100%. Yep.
Oh, look at this next one. You meet your friend alone for coffee or meals without your spouse knowing about it.
2 problems I see there. Okay. Number 1, alone. That's never... Okay, come on. Why am I alone with someone
of the opposite sex?
And what good's going to happen when I'm alone with someone of the opposite sex? Just think about that alone. Think about that. Why do I feel we need to do this alone? What do I think is going to come out of this time that we spend alone? See,
and this one's interesting because I could see some people try to throw this out there under the guise of it's a business.
What kind of business we're talking? It sounds like risky business if you ask me.
I'm just saying, that's what some people would say. Oh, well, we're just talking about business.
It could start there.
It always does.
And again, that's the doorway that people don't recognize. When you're meeting someone alone, now think about this. You're thinking about it more than you should, right? You're not telling your spouse. And now you're planning, let's just call it what it is. This is a date. Even if you want to put the moniker business date, it's still a date. Think about that. We have to be alone. We have to be a special place. We're spending a special time so we can take care of business. Not good. I don't care how you slice it. It's not going to work out well for you. So number 10 says, you regularly engage with your friend on social media without your spouse's knowledge.
Oh, this is... Okay. I mean, all these are huge, but this one right here we see so much because of the way social media is a part of almost everybody.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
is involved in social media.
Everybody has a phone or something now.
And how many times haven't we heard about somebody sharing, couple? Well, my wife or my husband, they started looking on social media, looking up a friend that they used to hang out with all the time when they were in elementary school, middle school. And, just wanted to know. I was just curious to see, where they're at in life.
And yes, I mean, and this is the thing as well. Like before, it used to take a little more effort to go out and hook up with someone. I mean, you actually had to put some clothes on and get dressed up, get in the car, and then drive somewhere. Right? Maybe it was the club. Maybe it was something else. I don't know, wherever it is you met someone, maybe a grocery store. But now you literally do not have to leave your house.
Hold on, you'll get dressed up to go meet somebody at a grocery store back in the day?
Come on.
I'm just saying.
I don't even know how to answer this question. This sounds like a loaded question. Because you always ask me when I go to the grocery store, do you really need to put on that bracelet when you go to the grocery store? I'm like, I don't know. It's just something I naturally do. And now you're going to start wondering. No, baby, not crossing lines. As a matter of fact, I would love it if you go to the grocery store with me. Right? Be my accountability partner, be there with me. But this whole social media, like, you don't have to leave the house anymore. Like, literally, the device is in your pocket and it goes with you every room that you go into. So if you have this inkling where you're thinking of someone, again, that's that open doorway that you can easily get a hold of and reach out and touch someone, if you're old enough to recognize what that was. Literally reach out and touch someone to have this emotional connection with this person through social media. And, you know, because a lot of people, and this, again, I know people make fun of us because we have the same social media account. For that reason, we want to lock every door. We're not ignorant, guys, and we're not, you know, people like say, oh, you guys are whipped, you're crazy. No, we recognize that this is a threat to our marriage. And when it comes to social media, if we were going to have one, and that took a long time for us to get there, but what we did, we said, how can we safeguard even social media?
It took a long time for us to even have social media.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Long time to have social media, but when we got there, we said, okay, this could possibly be a threat to our marriage. How can we guard and protect it and use this in a way that can be helpful and not hurtful?
Yeah, I mean, I remember an ex of mine reaching out through social media a while back. Yeah. And we were able to talk about that, like, because I remember
I said, what's up?
You check social media way more than I do, and you're like, who is this? Yeah. And I'm like, ooh, that's an ex-boyfriend. You can go ahead and delete that person.
Delete, like, block, we're good. Do whatever we got to do. Yeah. To help keep us on the safe page and help us both stay accountable. Again, you think, okay, it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal. Yeah. Like, if you're literally going to let the enemy inside your house, that's a big deal. Yeah. Like, if you're going to leave the doors open, expect to get broken into. That's what I say. Number 11 says, you feel a sexual tension or an attraction when you are with this friend. If there wasn't another indicator, another warning sign with the flashing red lights blinking, this is it. If you feel a certain kind of way when you're with another person, and you guys know what I'm talking about, let's not be slow. Yeah. Run. Because your body is already responding in a certain kind of way. And you can deny it. Oh, it's not what it is. But come on, be real with yourself.
No, I just like to, I just feel good to be around this person.
It just feels so nice. It's so nice the way you talk to me. It's just nice. Yeah, it's nice, all right.
It's so cute with your little country accent there.
You broke laying on the side of the road. Yeah, because you lost everything because it was so nice.
Okay, go to number 12.
12. You and your friend are discussing the sexual tension that you both are feeling in a friendship. Why am I reading both these about sexual stuff?
The first one is you start feeling sexual tension or attraction.
And now we're discussing
it. Yeah.
Bad, bad, bad. Come on now.
See, right here is when people, this is like the point of no return. Now you're in it. Because when you're actually discussing it.
I see this as holding the hand grenade. Like, if you don't know about a hand grenade, okay, that's not probably the brightest thing anyway. But now you pulled the clip and you're holding it. Now what the heck are you going to do? This baby is going to go throw. It's going to go off. You need to get rid of this thing quick, fast, in a hurry. And be careful, because wherever you throw it, it's going to do damage. Yeah. That's where you're at here. And recognizing, man, you are in deep right now. And again, I tell you, flee from sexual immorality. If you are in this position, do an about face, start heading the other direction, get out on your knees and start asking for God's help.
I remember talking to somebody in this situation where, their marriage is great. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, she's talking to this old friend, and all of a sudden, one thing leads to another, and now they're meeting each other. And it happens that quick. It's kind of sneaks up on you.
I was going to say it's a slippery slope. And that's why you got to be aware of all these different positions, if you will, all these different stations, because it's so subtle when this stuff starts happening. Many people miss it.
Well, yeah, this particular person that spoke to me about this, their marriage was solid. Like, they were doing great. I remember when she's sharing with me, like, I didn't even see this coming, that this happened this way.
Well, from a spiritual standpoint, remember, the enemy's very crafty. He makes it look very pretty. He makes it look very harmless. He wants you to take the bait. Yeah. And once you've taken the bait, you're already trapped. That's what happens.
So the last few, 13, when you and your friend are alone, you interact differently than when you're around other people.
Yeah. You cross the line. You cross the line.
So number 14, you find yourself regularly looking forward to meeting with your friend.
That seems pretty similar to what we said earlier.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then the last one, you're in love with your friend. I mean,
I'm going to say you're probably more in lust.
Well, yeah. That is true. Once you understand really what love is in a relationship, and you've been with a person for so long, you can definitely understand what love is between a husband and a wife, or a man and a woman, and then what, like the infatuation feelings.
Well, it is. And this is all, a lot of these things are going to be based on feeling and emotion, not based on facts. Because what's the facts there? The fact number one is you are married. Mm-hmm. You are married in the eyes of God. And if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, come on now.
Yeah.
Like, you should not allow yourself to be caught up in these traps.
You need to remind yourself of the vows that you took. Mm-hmm. When you got married, remind yourself why you got married to this person. Well,
thinking about honor and respect, because we hear that a lot, especially when it comes into relationships. Honor and respect. Honor, holding something in high regard, and having that reverence and that respect for each other. If I have that respect for my wife, I'm not going to do something that's going to dishonor her. I'm not going to. Like, I'm not going to have that conversation with someone of the opposite sex talking about something that I should not be talking about, because that is disrespectful. It is disrespectful for me to have this side friendship with this other person of the opposite sex, sharing with them intimate things that I should only be sharing with my wife. That's dishonoring.
Now, here's the thing. All these things that we just got through listing, you can have all this stuff with your spouse.
Yeah.
Like, if you think back to your dating phase with your spouse, you probably had all these things with your spouse. That's why you chose to marry, right?
That is true. It's kind of like the old bait and switch. That's a good thing you brought that up.
Well, if you think about it, you can have all these things with your spouse. You're just not nurturing that relationship right now because you have leaned into a friend that has now become something else.
Well, from a spiritual side of things, that's always the way that my brain is working lately. The enemy promises all these great things. It looks pleasurable to the eyes, right? The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes. You have this with your partner if you see it. The enemy brings something along that looks shiny, that looks valuable, right? That looks like it's going to deliver everything, but it really doesn't. Because when you go off of God's path and you take this counterfeit, where does it lead to? What is it going to cost you? Number one, it's probably going to cost you your marriage. Could potentially cost you your marriage.
And if you have kids?
I was going to say it doesn't stop there. Because the enemy doesn't want to just kill your marriage. He wants to take out your entire family.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to take out your marriage. It's going to take out your family. It's going to take out your finances. It's even going to take out other friendships. Because guess what happens? Like us, we have these friendships that we are now married, right? God forbid that, I don't even like to say it, but if something were to happen, what happens to those friendships?
Yeah, we're not even going to go there because that's not
what we're saying.
Jam. No.
But what I'm saying is that it affects so many different dynamics in this relationship. It's not just about this.
Right.
But that's what the enemy wants, to steal, kill, and destroy.
Okay, great list. Guys, evaluate your friendships. If you are questioning right now your relationship with somebody, or if you're on the other side and you're questioning your spouse's relationship with someone, you guys need to have a conversation. You guys need to have a coming to Jesus conversation about what's right and what's not. And if you're still in disagreement, you guys need to seek counseling.
Yeah.
We know some good ones. So, anything else you want to share?
I think that pretty wraps it up for me. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. These were 15 signs that your friendship has crossed the line. Guard your marriage.
Yeah.
Guard your marriage, guys. This is serious, and you need to be serious about it. It's worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
It's worth battling against.
All right. God bless everyone.
God bless you guys. We love you. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. Remember to check out some earlier episodes. And remember to go to covenantarmy.org to get all your Covenant Army gear. We love you guys. We'll see you next time.